Hey boys and girls, this is Mrs. Radon. Hope all is well with everyone. Today I'm just going to do a very quick lesson on looking at different genres of stories and how you could look for the hints that tell you which genre it is. So if you remember from way back in September, October, we talked about the genre of fantasy or fiction. And we know there are certain clues in fantasy or fiction that tell us it's fantasy or fiction. Like, for example, animals acting as humans or humans being able to do magical things gives you a hint that the story is probably fantasy or fiction. So when we take a look at the story, the bookworm's big surprise, we can read, Bookworm's caterpillar friends were going to turn into butterflies. Bookworm said goodbye and sat down with a book. Now, boys and girls, do worms say goodbye or talk? Or do they even sit down with a book? I think not. So there's your clues that tell you right away that this is a fantasy. It is a fantasy text. A lot of time, fantasies teach a lesson. What lesson do you think this text's lesson is? Right? What lesson do you think it is? Well, that means you have to go back and you have to look at what you read and maybe reread to see where the clues are to help you figure out what the lesson is. Remember, always reread if there's something you don't understand. Now, boys and girls, if you turn the page, give me a minute here to turn the page. The next story is called How Rockets Move. The next story is called How Rockets Move. And right away, when you look at this story, because it's about rockets, and you know that rockets are real, and especially you've been watching the news lately, you saw the SpaceX rocket go up into space, you know that this is probably not fantasy. And then if I zoom in, I see an illustration. And with the illustration or the diagram, I see labels that tell me what each part is. So by looking at this text feature, looking at the title, this tells me this genre is probably expository text or informational text. And it uses a diagram or an illustration or picture with labels to help me figure this out. So again, how rockets move. A rocket has fuel in it. For the rocket to move, the fuel must burn. When the fuel burns, it makes gas. The gas goes out the back of the rocket. The gas moves very fast. Its speed gives it force. Again, just by reading the first couple of sentences, I could tell that this is informational text. And remember, informational texts often include features or text features. And again, here we see a text feature, which would be a diagram or an illustration with labels. Can you think of other informational text features that you know? Maybe maps or captions or bar graphs, right? Could all be part of text features. Remember that old sidebar? Maybe you could call up a friend and talk about what a sidebar is. Okay, boys and girls, good luck working in your packets, and if you need any help, you know how to reach me. Bye.